Now here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of waiting for traditional banks to build branches in every village, which, if we're being honest, ladies and gentlemen, was never going to happen, Liberia asked a different question. What if we skip the banks entirely? December 16, 2025, President Bukai formally launches something called the Inclusive Instant Payment System, branded PayNana. And I need you to understand what this actually is, because it is not a CBDC. It is not the e-Naira model. Liberia did not mint the digital version of the Liberian dollar. What they built instead is an interoperable digital rail powered by open source technology called Mojaloop that connects mobile money wallets, banks, and financial service providers into one national payment layer. Any wallet, any bank, instant settlement. Deployed in 73 business days, Africa NEDA provided technical support. The central bank governor, Henry Samoy, led the charge, and within months, transaction costs were capped below 1%. For context, ladies and gentlemen, traditional remittance corridors in West Africa routinely charge 8 to 12%. Liberia just slashed that by an order of magnitude. Do you understand what that means for a market woman in Ganta who needs to receive payment from a buyer in Monrovia? Do you understand what that means for a farmer who can now receive government payments directly to a mobile wallet? No middleman, no envelope, no the money got lost somewhere. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we have to be honest. The system is barely a year old, but the trajectory is telling. By the time PayNana launched, Liberia already had more than 11 million registered mobile wallets. This is more than double the population because people maintain multiple accounts across networks. Mobile money transactions in US dollars alone hit 3.47 billion in 2024. The finance minister, Augustine Ngafuan, recently confirmed that Liberia reached 52% account ownership by late 2024, surpassing the government's own 50% target. And here's the part that doesn't make the Western headlines. Orange Liberia and ZTE installed 128 solar-powered LTE sites across rural areas in 2024, bringing connectivity to more than 580,000 Liberians who had never been online. Internet penetration jumped from 19% to over 32% in 5 years. You cannot have digital financial inclusion without digital infrastructure. They built both simultaneously. But guess what? The real experiment is not the technology. The technology works. The experiment is whether a post-conflict, resource-constrained African state can bypass the legacy banking model entirely. No waiting for Barclays or EcoBank to build branches and go straight to a digital-first financial architecture. If Liberia pulls this off at scale, ladies and gentlemen, it rewrites the playbook for every small economy on the continent. Now, here's where it gets really juicy. Liberia was not supposed to be first on this. The smart money was on Nigeria with the e-Naira, or Ghana with the ECD, but the e-Naira has struggled with adoption. Ghana's ECD is still in pilot. Liberia, ladies and gentlemen, Liberia deployed a working national payment system in less than 3 months by choosing interoperability over novelty. They didn't try to invest in a new currency. They connected the ones people were already using. The question is no longer whether African nations can build digital financial infrastructure. The question is whether the old model, branch-based, bank-dependent, urban-centric, even makes sense anymore. You cannot have economic sovereignty without financial sovereignty, and financial sovereignty starts with moving money at the speed of a text message, not a bank queue. They are being built, and they are being built faster than analysis predicted. What do you think about Liberia's approach? Is interoperability the smarter play than launching a full CBDC, or does every African nation eventually need its own digital currency? Do let me know in the comment section below. Representing A2 Risk Flow, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.
Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'asham Yawashai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Kiam. Now, this is your brother Abawan, back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahawashai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, all praises and glories due. And this is another algorithm towards the MOTB, right? Another preparation for the MOTB, the mark of the beast, because that's the major thing that's going on right now, man. Esau is really pushing heavy to start implementing this MOTB on the earth, right? You see, he's coming in with his 6G, he's coming and creating the infrastructure, the digital currency, the contactless payments, and everything that is needed in order to really push the MOTB. Even this AI boom they are seeing, everything is now AI, everything is being controlled by AI, everything is using AI, and Esau and these corporations are trying their hardest to push AI onto the people as much as possible. Even that is gradualism towards the MOTB, because like I said, what will control the MOTB system, what will control the data that is being passed through the MOTB system, it will be automated systems that are being run by AI, right? So this video right here is going into, once again, the algorithm towards the MOTB in the local news. Liberia's digital currency experiment, skip the banks and build the future. And I actually linked this full video right in the beginning of my video, and she is going into basically the digital currency infrastructure that Liberia is currently developing, and all the advantages of it and how it will help benefit the people, right? And that is of course how Esau Edom pushes his agenda, by giving you all the advantages and all the good that it can do. But as we already know, right, this is the devil that we're speaking of. So any of his devices, any of his creations are not capable of doing good, even though the potential, because this is what the scriptures say, right? That, let's get that precept, that's in the book of Ecclesiasticus. Let's get that precept. All things are good to the goodly, but to the evil they are turned into wickedness, right? Because all this all this technology, all this science, all these advancements, it is possible to make it beneficial to mankind. It's possible to make it good for the people of this world, but of course we are dealing with the wicked right now. So at the end of the day, all these technology, all these advancements will be used for wickedness. That's why it's pushing the MOTB. That's why his whole system looks the way it does. Okay, so now Ecclesiasticus 39, let's see, here it is. Ecclesiasticus 39 verse 25. For the good are good things created from the beginning. Okay, this isn't what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is it right here. Ecclesiasticus 39 verse 26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All things are for good to the godly. So to the sinners they are turned into evil. And that's exactly what Esau Edom has done as well, right? Of course, when what this precept is going into is that all these the principal things for a whole use of a man's life are turned into evil when it is in the hand of sinners, right, as judgments from the Most High. But also in this case, we're applying it in the sense that Esau Edom has turned the good things that the Most High has put upon the earth, and he has made them he has made it evil, made it wicked. That's what we mean when we always go into how Esau has polluted the whole earth, has corrupted the whole earth, right? That's what we're going into. But now back on this topic right here, and there's actually a part of the video I want to play, because there is always this question of how will Esau be able to push the MOTB throughout the four corners of the earth, because even going back to the CV19, right, the jab and the juicy juice, not everybody took that, you know what, even though the majority of people that are on the earth actually did take the you know what, but not everybody took it, right? In the more rural areas, you still had a lot of people that didn't even, take the you know what, right? But now we see that ESO is actually implementing methods, creating solutions and ways in which to get even the most rural people, right, and the people that are farthest away from his technology, in order to get them to also take the MOTB. Now let's play the video from right here.
8 to 12%. Liberia just slashed that by an order of magnitude. Do you understand what that means for a market woman in Gantar who needs to receive payment from a buyer in Monrovia? Do you understand what that means for a farmer who can now receive government payments directly to a mobile wallet? No middleman, no envelope, no the money got lost somewhere. Now, ladies.
Right, and what she was basically going into in that snippet is that, well, now even the local person, right, in the village, right, the deepest in the village, the deepest part of the village, in the deepest parts of the forest, can now have access to the same banking facilities you see in the city, right, from Monrovia to, and she mentioned from some villages or some townships that are in Liberia, and that's exactly what Esau Edom is planning to do, because there is a reason why, if you go into the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, the mark of the beast, the MOTB, which is the implantable RFID microchip, was it was said that, or rather, it was used mainly, or is presented mainly as a tool of purchase, that no man can buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? There's a reason why it was focused on transactions and focused on purchase, because first and foremost, you live in a capitalistic system which is based off buying and selling. That's why you see that all the elites of Esau Edom are all major corporations. All your elites are corporations, and the CEOs and founders of those corporations, and using those corporations in order to push the agenda of the elites of Esau Edom. And why the elite families of Esau Edom are all banking families, right? In other words, families that are in control of cash flow and also in control of wealth, because at the end of the day, right, these devils, their main claim to power in this kingdom is based off money. So it's only natural that their mark will be a mark that is based off transactions. That's why the primary purpose of the MOTB is so for buying and selling. And that's why these CBDCs, right, these digital currencies, are going to be a key pathway, right, a key inroad in order to make the mark of the beast and to force the mark of the beast, the MOTB, upon you people out here. Okay, because now, once you have created that infrastructure and that expectation of being able to instantly receive payments from the city for all your goods provided, as soon as that gets cut off and is transferred to this implantable chip right here, you have to take this chip in order to be able to continue to run your business as you did before. A lot of people, right, especially a lot of people in the rural areas of the world, are going to take that mark, man. Especially when you have, these foreign aid, UNICEF and them, these United Nations foreign aid, and United Nations peacekeepers. This is how ESO operates. That's why this is how ESO operates. Even now, whenever they want to push an agenda or try to spread, some form of wickedness, right? They use the United Nations peacekeepers, they use the foreign aid workers, and come into these rural devastated areas, right? Especially where you see wars take place, like in the Sudan and in Sudan and Congo, and they do all that they want to do. They administer these wicked shots, right? These wicked jabs, to the people, or whatever else, and administer this foreign aid that majority of the time, right, the foreign aid that you are getting is basically Esau's throwaways, right? The bad medicine, the medicines and the foods that did not pass inspection. And if you are taking food that did not pass inspection in America, but from America, Babylon the Great, whose FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, is infamous for being very loose with its laws, right? Not even allowing all kinds of chemicals and pesticides that aren't even legal anywhere else in the world. They know that food is going to be very much poisoned, and it's the same thing. These peacekeeping corps, NATO, the UN, they are all going to be involved in planting, right? They are pushing the sea heap, the four corners of the earth, right? The four corners of the earth, especially in these rural areas, especially in these local, areas that are far away from the more developed cities. So yeah, and she went into a lot of things, and she brought out a lot of points that I actually want to go into. One of the points that she brought out, and she didn't and I don't know if you heard it, but yeah, she was talking about the actual company that was in charge of this digital currency framework, right? Because that's exactly what it is. It's not as though there is a singular digital currency from Liberia, but rather there is a payment system that is being set up that basically anybody can use to access cash and put in whatever wallet they have. Because her initial thing was that if you are transferring money from one wallet to the other, the overhead from the banks is ridiculous. And you have the same issue here in Nigeria as well, which was solved by the Chinese. The Chinese opened up different mobile banking companies here in Nigeria that now make upwards of billions of dollars because of how much they are being used. Companies like I've forgotten the name of. You know what? I have the Google right here, so I'm just going to open it up. The name of the company that owns OP, which is one of the most popular mobile banking apps here in Nigeria. You have your OP, you have your Palm Pay, you have your Money Point. But your Money Point is actually owned by a Nigerian, right? So what I want to do is I want to type in who owns OP. I believe it's a single individual. I've forgotten the name of his company, but yeah, who owns OP? So let's get that. So this is right here. OP is owned by Chinese billionaire Zhao Yahui, who is the chairman and co-CEO of Opera Software, right? So basically, the Opera, right, from the Opera browser, they are the ones that own OP. Now I believe they also own PalmPay as well, right? Well, the reason I'm even going into this is because you have a similar situation with this payment system that she's speaking about in Liberia, which I believe is called the Moja Loop system, right? Which was instituted and created by the Moja Loop Foundation. And I would have loved to go into this, on this phone, but for some reason I don't have the Gemini on my phone right now, which is how I actually managed to get this information that I want to bring out. So I'm just going to open up my phone and see if I can get. Okay, here we are. It's finally downloaded. So that's the Gemini right there. So I'm going to open up the Gemini and speak and go into what I was the questions I was asking Gemini while I was doing my research for this video, right? Because I was listening to the video, and she mentioned that the the system that she's talking about, the payment system she's talking about, right, was the framework, or the framework, or rather I should say the is being run through the Moja Loop system. So I decided to just do some research on that, right? So I asked Gemini, and let me type it in right now. Who owns the Moja Loop Foundation? Right, so that's it right here. Who owns the Moja Loop Foundation? Next, and you just type that in and send it to Gemini and see what it responds with. Okay, because once again, I once again going into this. Okay, yeah, the AI is a very yes, the AI, this is a part of ESO's MOTB system, right? But the AI is still a very useful tool for now, up until the point when they start pushing this CHIP out here, and you really start seeing what ESO really wanted the AI for. Now let's read what Gemini has to say. The Moja Loop Foundation is a 501c3 non-profit charitable organization, meaning it does not have a single private owner or commercial shareholders. Instead, it operates as an independent public charity governed by a board of directors. However, it was created, funded, and backed by a major coalition of organizations. The founder and prime backer, the open source Mojaloop software, which, remember, everything that one was speaking about in that video, right? It was being run by this Mojaloop software. The open source Mojaloop software was originally created and released in 2017 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is under its level 1 project in 2020, right? So as soon as I read that part, you begin, now that you read that, you begin to realize what's really going on out here, right? I begin to see what's really going on out here, which is basically, you see that Bill Gates still has this devil still has his hands very much, in the pockets of the African continent, still trying to benefit as much as it can, and while also as he can, while also pushing the MOTB and pushing the infrastructure, the algorithm for the MOTB forward. But let's keep reading. The Gates Foundation helped transition the project into its own independent non-profit organization, the Mojaloop Foundation. Right, so and also, of course, that other companies are involved as well, but the fact that this is the main company, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the main company that's been headlined, should already be eyebrow raising. But let's keep on reading. The foundation is sustained by a consortium of steering and sponsor members that govern its direction. This includes major technology companies, financial organizations, and philanthropies such as Google, Ripple, Coil, the Rockefeller Foundation, Monetary Authority of Singapore. The organization is currently led by chairperson Costa Peric and CEO John Bosco Liasun, right? So that gives you an idea of what, or rather I should say, who is backing and who is behind the creation of this digital currency infrastructure, this digital currency payment system at this Jake. And of course this is Eve, right? This is a Jake, okay? Most likely she's Liberian. I'm not really sure what country she's from, right? But this is a Jake. The real backers, the money that's behind this Mojaloop system that she's speaking about right here, okay? And that shows you, right, that shows you once again that what the men of the Lord have been saying, the truth that we are bringing out, is the 100% truth. Because now you are seeing the connection, and you are seeing how these devils, the elites of Esau Edom, are using their lower level elites, which are your billionaire tech bros, right? Your tech CEOs and tech founders that are currently running around doing billionaire. Elon Musk, for like a couple of days, he was a trillionaire. He became the world's richest man, but he's gone back down in his wealth, because that was a basically inflated situation. But you get the point, man. You get the point. So yeah, man, this is going to be, of course, if this is success. Once this is successful, it's going to be replicated and pushed in all different areas all over Africa and other parts of the world that are not as developed as the West. Okay, and this is just speaking as a man, because Esau Edom, right? These devils are currently trying to push or find a way in order to access these less developed and areas that are far away from the major cities in order to chip the people that are there as well. And that's why you see that, like the scripture says, and we're in that time right now. So let's get this precept real quick. We're going to Revelation 12 verse 12. The devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So Esau is beginning to be out here. It's getting wild out here, and Esau is beginning to push faster and push more harder for his NWO great reset. So this is the book of Revelation 12 verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Right, and this devil, they know their time is short, right? And their time is getting ever more shorter. So they are running and pushing. So they are running in order to push for this MWO as quickly as possible out here. And as the scripture says, all people will eventually be caused to receive that mark, save the elect, of course. So with that, once again, all praises. honor and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'asham Yahwashai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit of Yakim and Joaquat are edified. Shalom.